Hello and welcome to Odds on La Liga, Matchday 36 midweek games after seeing Barcelona celebrating La Liga title against the rival Real Madrid. Was an easy game, 2-0 for Flick's men. They can get into the 100 points, this Barcelona, Alvaro, that they lift a party in El Clásico as we expected.
Yeah, they had a great night. They beat Real Madrid, they won La Liga, as you said. It's been a really good league for Barcelona, 100 points. The run since losing El Clásico has been incredible. Basically, they have gotten around 19 more points than Real Madrid since Real Madrid beat them in El Clásico. And again, I would refer to Vinicius being substituted in that Clásico that Real Madrid won as the turning point for the season. Because Vinicius refused to leave the pitch. That I think that started showing the massive problems in Real Madrid's locker room. Then Xabi Alonso was sacked, Arbeloa came, but the problems lingered, the problems stayed, and last week we knew that Valverde and 𝗀𝗏𝗏 had a massive fight to the point that Valverde lost consciousness, and he's not going to play for the rest of the season. So yeah, well deserved to Barcelona. They are on course to get in 100 points. I don't think that they will, because right now they will probably be relaxed. There is a World Cup coming up. I wonder if the likes of, for example, Frenkie de Jong or Rafinha will do their 100 or give their 100%. I mean, considering that they play for Brazil and the Netherlands, and they've been unfit lately. But yeah, congratulations to them. It's been a deserved title, the second for Hansi Flick, the second in a row for Barcelona. And let's see what happens from now on with Barcelona, because I do believe that they have every right not to go to the pitch fighting 100%, because they don't need to.
Well, Real Madrid Royal Rumble, indeed, with so many fights in the dressing room. We are going to address all the issues also for Los Blancos and the future of Barcelona. So guys, stay with us. Still plenty of things to decide in La Liga. So let me know in the comments, as always, your tips for this match day. And now let's go on with the show. Well, Alvaro, there is something on stake in every game this week, apart from Real Madrid Oviedo. So let's start on Tuesday. We have 3 games, Celta de Vigo, Levante. Here, Celta still trying to fight for the 5th spot, going to the Champions League. They are -4 with Betis, and also they have to look at Getafe, 5 points less. So very likely they are going to play Europe, but we don't know which competition. They beat Atlético de Madrid and Elche in the last 2 games, and they are playing against Athletic in the next one. As we can see in the odds, they are super favorites with a Levante, Alvaro, that they need also to get a point to stay alive. It was a massive win against Osasuna. At home, they get points, but away is only 2 points in the last 7 away games. But I am surprised that they are still alive, to be honest. They are only 3 points away from Girona, Espanyol, Mallorca and Elche.
Yeah, and the run of Levante lately has been really good. I would say they are only 2 points away from safety. They won the last game. They lost the previous one. But before that, they had achieved or gotten 7 points out of 9. So Levante is just accelerating as the league is coming to an end. And they are playing against Celta, a Celta team that, in my opinion, since they lost against Freiburg, they've been a little bit inconsistent, but they come at the back of 2 wins. Look, this is a game in which there is not so much to play for. I think that Celta is going to be for the 2nd season straight in Europe. And it's not so much to play for Celta, obviously. Celta have 5 more points than Getafe, but Getafe is not punching a lot behind them. It's not just making sure that they qualify for Europe, whereas Celta knows that they've got this 5 points gap. I think they are going to keep it, but I don't know how exactly. This is my only question. Will Celta net around 54, 55 points? They will stay in 52. I think 52 will still qualify for them for Europe. They are playing against Levante. Levante is in an okay run overall, I would say. They are scoring goals. They scored the other day 3 against Osasuna. They scored 1 against Villarreal, which is not easy. They scored 2 against Sevilla. They scored 1 against Getafe, which is, at the end what you have to do. So Levante is scoring goals. This is the point I want to make. And, their scoring numbers are pretty decent. They have scored 41 goals this season, more than Girona, more than Espanyol, more than Valencia, more than Rayo Vallecano, more than Getafe, obviously. So I'm going to go for both teams to score in this game. I think that the bet can be pretty decent, 175.
Okay, very interesting next week. The Levante Mallorca, if Levante are able to get a point at least in Vigo. Next game, Betis Elche. This one also important for Europe and for the relegation. Betis they are trying to grab the 5th spot and going to the Champions League. They threw away the game in San Sebastián. They were leading 2-0 against Real Sociedad. They ended up drawing, and the Elche 2 points more than the relegation. Alvaro, they miss a great chance at home against Alavés. And, they have Getafe next at home. Here also, Betis really favorite, only 1.6.
Yeah, Betis is the big favorite, but here I got my doubts about that. Again, Elche is playing for something way more important than Betis, and I do believe that this may matter too. To the point that I'm gonna back Elche here. Look, the latest results of the men of Sarabia have been okay. I mean, if you see the big picture, it's 10 points out of the last 15. In the last game, they could only draw with Alavés. For Sarabia, the result was kind of positive, definitely for 𝐿𝐭𝐼 too. But in the camp of Elche, probably they were thinking this was our chance to put ourselves with 41 points, and we didn't do it. But coming into this game, I'm going to trust a little bit how Elche is playing. And Betis, we know that it's a very streaky side. Right now, they are in a good streak. Before now, they were in a pretty average, or even I would say negative streak. But still, I'm going to go for the following. First half double chance 𝐿𝐴 for Elche. So Elche not losing the first half, 167. Otherwise, I come back Elche with a positive handicap of Asian handicap plus 0.75. If they lose by 1, you only suffer half a lose, and that pays 180.
And the last game we have on Tuesday is Osasuna Atlético de Madrid. Here, Osasuna trying to grab the European spots. They are 3 points away from Getafe. Everything is in 5 points. So either they can look down because they are not safe yet. They are 5 points away from Alavés, or they can look up and be 3 points away from Getafe. Therefore, it's important to get something against Atlético de Madrid. They were leading, as I mentioned before, 2-0 against Levante, and they ended up lost to Barcelona in the last home game. And it's a good moment to face Atlético de Madrid because they are drifting away in La Liga. 10 defeats, Alvaro, this season. They are 28 points away from Barcelona. Their season in La Liga has been very poor.
They don't have the habit of winning games, and this is a massive problem. Some questions have to be raised towards Atlético de Madrid. I think that when you put all your chips on the knockout tournament, if you don't win those finals, or those semi-finals, like the one against Arsenal, then after the defeat in the knockout tournament, you feel totally empty. And this is what has happened to Atlético de Madrid. It's time even for the rumors there. Julián Álvarez, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna stay? Is he gonna go? I think that this game is the kind of game in which goals will happen, in my opinion, because Osasuna at home has been really fine. Osasuna at home has they got 32 points, which is like a really good tally. We're talking about more points at home than Betis, for example, or Athletic de Bilbao, teams that normally are very fine in their home ground. So I'm gonna back somehow goals happening here. I'm not gonna commit totally to the full-time market because I do know that Atlético de Madrid has danger in them, number one. And number two, that I don't know if Osasuna is going for Europe for Real, not because they don't want to, but maybe because their squad is what it is and they can't really get more than what they have, which is 42 points at this stage. So, by the way, I'll speak later about how the relegation battle is, because the fact that Getafe can still be caught by Alavés is incredible. But anyway, for this game, I think goals will happen. Atlético Madrid doesn't defend well. Osasuna scores a decent deal of goals at home, so I'm gonna go for over 2.25 goals, 160. It's impossible to bet on Atlético de Madrid unless it is at home, so I prefer to go to a very shared market, which is the goals market. Maybe Atlético scores them, maybe Osasuna scores them, but I don't think that I'm in the position to back Atlético away from home in any sort of way, because away from home have been absolutely awful.
Games on Wednesday. First one very important for both relegation and Europe. Espanyol, Athletic, Espanyol falling and falling and falling and falling in the table. Still no wins in this second part of the season, and now they are only 2 points away from the bottom three. They took the lead in Sevilla, but they ended up losing, and Athletic are only 1 point away from Getafe. So despite the defeat against Valencia that we didn't expect, or at least I didn't, they still have a chance to get the conference spot with no Nico Williams, by the way. Alvaro, we were mentioning in our last video the importance of Nico, and then once again, unfortunately, he got injured.
Yeah, I was watching the game, obviously. I was very disappointed. Nico couldn't believe it. It was very upsetting that Nico had to leave the pitch. He was replaced by his brother Iñaki, and I think that even Iñaki didn't want to come onto the pitch because, you know, they are brothers, they love each other, and Iñaki is like a father figure for Nico. And when Nico left the pitch, you know, really disappointing, just not believing his eyes. And Iñaki come in, I mean, they shared a hug, and Iñaki looked like devastated as well. You know, the medical report came on Monday. Nico Williams is going to be out for 3 or 4 weeks. You know, there was a little bit of an optimistic vibe about all that, because the World Cup starts in a month, but I'm not too sure about that, because when Luis de la Fuente does his final list for the World Cup, Nico Williams is going to still be injured. And how many injured players can Luis de la Fuente cap? Merino, Nico Williams. The good thing is that the squads are 26 players, so even if you take 1 or 2 who are still like doubtful, you have 24 more. But come on, you know, Nico Williams is going to find it difficult to make it to the World Cup, and who tells you that he's going to be fit in the World Cup if he hasn't been fit the whole season? It's a real shame, and same thing applies to Jan Sancet. He's not going to play this game, and I always say that with Sancet and with Williams, Athletic de Bilbao look different, but this season they have barely played together. So this game in particular, look, I think that Athletic de Bilbao has found it historical, the big picture, I mean, over the last 20, 25 years, to travel to Espanyol ground. And I do believe that Espanyol has an opportunity here to get something. So I'm gonna go for a draw no bet for Espanyol 191. I could also go for an Asian handicap plus 0.25 for Espanyol, meaning that if they draw, you suffer half a lose. No, you get half the win if they draw, and if they win, you win. The Asian handicap plus 0.25 for Espanyol pays 160, and it's not bad. The draw no bet is in the region of 190, good as well. So yeah, I think that I'm gonna back Espanyol slightly here, because Athletic de Bilbao has their best 2 players out, and for some reason they are not able to, you know, put good performances away from home, with the exception of the game against Alavés 10 days ago.
Espanyol in real trouble, indeed. Well, Villarreal Sevilla is the next one. This one is very important for Sevilla. They thought they were in Segunda División when they were losing against Espanyol, but they were able to come back with the help of Espanyol keeper in the first goal. Especially Alvaro, it was 2 nervy games at home that they had to win, and they won them against Real Sociedad and Espanyol. Now they have a tough schedule. They have Villarreal and Real Madrid, but these 2 teams have nothing to play for. Villarreal on holidays, but still competing. And given the level of this Sevilla, Alvaro, I cannot trust Sevilla even if Villarreal are on holidays, to be honest.
Villarreal is qualified for the Champions League and their manager is not going to stay the next season. So that has to be taken into consideration. Imagine, for example, Marcelino entering the locker room and trying to motivate his players ahead of this game. It's not an easy task for him. He's leaving and his team has done already the job, right? So I also take these variables a little bit into consideration. I know that Villarreal at home has been really good. I think that they are by no means way better than Sevilla, but Sevilla is in bigger need. And they have won the last 2 games. Sevilla put themselves in a more favorable situation than we thought 2 weeks ago. This game is tricky. It's very tricky. It's almost a pass for me, but it's not a pass. It's almost a pass, but it's not a pass, because I think that there is a market that we can look at. Under 3 goals can be an interesting one here. It's almost like a safe bet. Sevilla is going to defend a lot, and I think that they are going to make this result the tightest possible. They could do with a point, even. So if I want for something, I will go for that kind of safe bet, under 3 goals, 155. But otherwise, I think the money is elsewhere, not here. So this is my take.
Okay, well, let's try to find some value in other games. Alavés Barcelona.
Here.
Okay, Alavés Barcelona, with Barcelona celebrating La Liga title, trying to get into 100 points, 11 wins in a row for this Barcelona in La Liga since defeating Girona. Now let's see if they are able to compete in Vitoria, because Alavés are fighting for their lives. Alvaro, they are in relegation spots after the draw in Elche, after losing to Athletic. At home, they have Oviedo away, which is a good fixture for them in the weekend. How do you see this one?
The biggest chance for Alavés to score some points. Did you see Szczęsny? Did you see Lewandowski yesterday in Barcelona on top of a bus? They didn't look very sober to me. And some of Barcelona players, they really look like their mind was somewhere else. Their mind is in having won the league. Having won the league against Real Madrid, the World Cup, not getting an injury. Hansi Flick will probably not prepare this game very much. And a few players that we normally don't see playing for Barcelona may have a chance. Talking about Xavi Espart, and talking about Ronnie Bardaji, maybe Marc Casado. So, it's the kind of tricky game in which Alavés can capitalize. Alavés was really happy that Barcelona won the league last Sunday. Probably they were the second happiest after Barcelona themselves. So I'm going to go for first team to score, Alavés 215. I think they are going to come onto this game with a totally different mentality to that one of Barcelona. And in the overall 90 minutes, perhaps a double chance, 1x for Alavés can be good. 170, I think that really this is the opportunity for Alavés to get something out of this game. We have praised Barcelona enough for what they have done this season. I think that they have been incredible. The fact that they played with so many players from their academy was amazing against Real Madrid the other day. By the way, great to see 𝗵𝗵𝗏 playing football well. He's going to be in Luis de la Fuente's squad. I mean, he played really well against Real Madrid. And, I'm going to give some credit as well to Gerard Martín, a defender that, as a left back, I don't think that he's got a promising career at Barcelona, but as a centre back, I think that he's been fine, even good at times, and against Real Madrid, he was competitive. So I'm going to go for what I said, Edu. My highest pick here would be a first team to score for Alavés. Otherwise, a double chance, 1x for Alavés.
Okay, you don't trust Barcelona. We saw even Hansi Flick drinking beers in the celebration. We saw Lewandowski, Dani Olmo, and some others also with the Catalonian independentist flag before going to the World Cup. By the way, we saw also Lamine Yamal with the Palestinian flag. We saw Fermin showing some anti-Madridista things, this kind of things that we see in the celebrations. Well, let's see if they are fit and focused in the game in Vitoria. Next game is Getafe Mallorca. This one important for the relegation and for Europe, although as you mentioned also Getafe could get relegated is almost impossible, but well, it looks like they don't want the conference spot. They drew with Oviedo, even if they play with more players, because Oviedo was sent off, so a couple of red cards. They lost to Rayo and Barcelona, so they haven't scored in the last 3 games. Getafe and here Mallorca also won the points after getting, I would say, a positive draw against Villarreal, and they are still in danger. They beat Girona away, and by the way, they still have to play against Levante. So imagine the schedule of this Mallorca.
No, the schedule is difficult. The league has been tough for Mallorca, starting by, their captain had a massive problem with the previous manager, 𝗂𝗵𝗏𝗏. I think the manager did the right thing, just putting the player, casting him away from the group. Then the manager himself got sacked. The season has been eventful for Mallorca, but I do believe that competitiveness is going to be what makes a difference in this game. We have spoken about Getafe. Again, they have done a very good season. They've been punching probably above their weight, but when they are safe, and this has happened quite a lot with Getafe under Bordalás, then they don't feel the urgency to qualify for Europe because he's not in their target list. I think that from all the teams that are there fighting for a European place, the one that needs it more, in my opinion, is Athletic Bilbao. Number one, due to the stature of the club. Number two, because they are bringing a new manager, and it's kind of an exciting prospect. 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏, Champions League finalist, and they would like to play in Europe with him the next season. But Getafe doesn't need that. This is the point I'm going to make. Getafe doesn't need to be in Europe. In fact, it can be a liability from the planning perspective, because we remember that every August, Bordalás has 7 or 8 available players until the president of Getafe and the financial team of Getafe managed to register new players ahead of La Liga. So my rationale coming into this game is going to be that one. Mallorca needs it better, needs it more, and I think that they can get a draw or a win here, more likely a draw, obviously. That pays 167, a double chance 𝐿2 for Mallorca. Otherwise, there is one individual adventure that we have to single out here, which is 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏. He has scored 2 fewer goals than Kylian Mbappé. Mbappé probably is not going to play again this season, I suppose. And 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏 will, I suppose, I hope. So he can still be the top scorer of La Liga, which would be something that nobody was expecting. 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏 to score 310. He's the target man for Mallorca. He is also the maverick in set pieces, so why not? But otherwise, a double chance 𝐿2 for Mallorca, 167.
Well, it's crazy that we think Mbappé is not going to play anymore this season. Mallorca trying to get safe, only +2 with Alavés. These are the games we have on Wednesday, and for Thursday we have another 3 games. Valencia, Rayo Vallecano. These 2 teams are almost safe. Rayo +6, they are safe, and even they can get into the conference spots once again. Remember, they are in the Conference League final, so if they win these European competitions, they will play for sure Europa League, but still they can qualify via La Liga into Europe. And Valencia 42, Alvaro, it was crucial the win in Bilbao after losing at home against Atlético de Madrid. Here, I would say the draw would be very positive for both sides.
Yeah, it will be positive. I think that it will be what we say in Spain, pacto entre caballeros. There is a very nice song in Spanish music called like that from Joaquin Sabina, and I think that this can be an agreement between gentlemen. Let's put it that way. I think that this can happen. Look, in fact, the draw, it's something that I had in my mind, 345. That can be an interesting one. I also believe that this game can be a little bit of an over. I do. Valencia creates a few more chances than people can expect. Valencia misses many penalties. By the way, they missed one in Samamés the other day, but it's been a little bit of a curse for them. And Rayo Vallecano right now are on the up. Of course, they have to make sure, number one, that they stay safe, which they will anyway. And number two, that no players are missing that lovely final that they are going to play against Crystal Palace. But yeah, this game, in my opinion, is going to be an over. I could go for over 2.25 goals. It pays 168. And just very quickly on Valencia. Valencia can qualify still for the Conference League, which is crazy. Rayo Vallecano, if they win the Conference League final, which in my opinion, Rayo Vallecano from all the Spanish sides is one of the few with Barcelona that can compete in terms of rhythm and pace with the teams of the Premier League. Rayo Vallecano is one of the 10 teams in Europe that runs more altogether with Barcelona. They are in that top 10 in the big 5 leagues. So if Rayo Vallecano wins the Conference League final, which is a lot to say anyway, and Betis clinches the Champions League via the 5th spot in a very average season in La Liga for the teams going from the 7th until the 17th or the 20th, Spain could have many representatives in Europe the next season.
Next game, also on Thursday, is Girona Real Sociedad. Crucial game, this one, for the relegation. Girona now only 2 points away from Alavés. They can be called lucky themselves to get a point in Vallecas with Estuani equalizing at the end, but they are in really poor form. It's only 2 points in the last 5 games. Real Sociedad, Alvaro, is the perfect rival because since the Copa del Rey final, no wins. It's only 2 draws and 2 defeats since they know they are going to play European football next season.
Yeah, they are the perfect rival, and this is something that we have to take into consideration. I mean, their numbers since they won that final are pretty poor, in my opinion, but they have every right just not to give their 100%, I suppose. And, I think that for Girona, this game is way more important. Look, Real Sociedad, just to give you some numbers, they were the 4th best team in the second half of the season under Matarazzo. And now, after they won the final, they are the 4th worst side in La Liga. So, there you go. Look, for this game, I'm going to back the team that has something to play for. In this case, it's Girona, obviously. I could back them with a negative handicap of minus 0.25. If they draw, you suffer, have a lose. If they win, you win. That pays 182. Otherwise, I like a small combination here, which pays exactly the same, really, which is a double chance 1x for the home side and over 2 goals in this game. That pays 180. Let's don't forget the scoring power of Real Sociedad, okay? Because this is important too. For example, the other day in a game against Betis, that again they weren't just playing particularly well. They managed to score 2 goals. So yeah, I think that combination can be good too. Otherwise, nice in handicap minus 0.25 for Girona, plain and simple. That is not a combination. So when you don't have a combination, you don't depend on 2 or more things to happen. In my opinion, ace and handicap minus 0.25 for the Catalan side is slightly less risky.
They looked safe 1 month ago, but now they are once again in real trouble. If Alavés beat Barcelona, they will start the game in relegation spots. And the last game this Matchday is a very sad Real Madrid, Real Oviedo. Nothing to play for here. Oviedo mathematically relegated. It has been a difficult season after coming back to La Liga with changes of managers. We didn't understand also what the board wanted, sacking the first manager, but well, they are going back to Segunda División, and even sadder the season for Real Madrid. I expect a very cold Bernabeu with not many supporters, and the ones that are there, I'm sure they are going to be super angry at the team, at the players, at the president, at the manager. We saw last week, or we knew last week, about the fight between Valverde and 𝐿𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿. It's not the first time that Valverde does something similar. Looks like he might leave the club, and it's very difficult, Alvaro, to sum up the situation of Real Madrid in just 30 seconds. But I was amazed by what you said also, like Mbappé not wanting to play anymore this season. It looks like he was attached to Xabi Alonso. He doesn't want to play with or for Arbeloa. He didn't travel. to Barcelona. He's just waiting for the World Cup, but as far as I know, he's still Real Madrid player, and he should be the star and the leader of this team.
Yeah, and who runs the portfolio and the career of Kylian Mbappé, apart from himself? We know that he is driven by ambition, but also by money. And we have seen that. I mean, he delayed his departure of Paris one extra year for him to get some signing bonus. But why am I pointing at Mbappé here? Real Madrid, 2 weeks ago, they were playing an important game, I suppose, and Kylian Mbappé just landed on time just to watch that game. He was on a trip in Italy. During El Clásico, Kylian Mbappé, in the middle of the game, when Real Madrid was already losing, he posted a picture of his television with Real Madrid losing. And he said, "A la Madrid," which is like, who runs your social media profile? Anyway, is he a great player? Yes. Has he earned the heart of Real Madrid supporters? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. I think Real Madrid supporters love him more, in fact, when he was a possibility, when he was a dream, than when he is actually there at Real Madrid. And don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic player, but this is the input I'm getting from many Real Madrid fans. But the situation has been catastrophic this season, and I want to point at Florentino Perez as well, because I think that the president of Real Madrid is barely present, and I was missing maybe last week the president appearing and explaining what had happened, the measures that will be taken, not only with a cold statement online, but something else. And Florentino Perez doesn't show up a lot. I mean, it's been always like this, but in this crisis situation, I will expect some leadership from him. I wonder if he's going to be at Santiago Bernabéu to start with this coming Thursday. He was not at Barcelona, but we all know that the relationship between Laporta and Florentino fluctuates, and Florentino and Laporta are not in the best terms right now. Okay, I understand it. But at Santiago Bernabéu, Florentino has to be there, and the players have to turn up, and they have to receive the welcome that Santiago Bernabéu wants to give them. If it's a very hostile one, they will have to understand it, because the season has been really poor, and Barcelona has won the league because they just put much more attention to the day-to-day affairs, to the games in Getafe, to the games in Girona, which they lost, by the way, over there, but to all the away difficult games. And Real Madrid hasn't done that. But anyway, coming into this game, this is the easiest for me in this show, probably. I'm going to be very honest, because Real Oviedo is down. Real Oviedo is down after a very eventful season in which they should have never sacked 𝗀𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗂𝗍 to start with. The only player of Oviedo who I can see having a future in La Liga, really, is probably 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀, their goalkeeper, their best player this season by a mile or two. And the quality of Real Madrid is much higher than that one of Oviedo. Real Madrid is playing for nothing, but they have to please the fans. So I'm going to go for Asian handicap minus 1.5 for Real Madrid, 170. I don't know how this game is going to go. I don't know if they will score in the first half or in the second half. But what I do know is that the 1-0 won't be enough, a 2-0 won't be enough, a 3-0 will not be enough. And Real Madrid has to please the fans. So I'm going to back Real Madrid with a minus 1.5 handicap. Or otherwise, Vinicius to score. This season he hasn't scored as many goals as previously, but he's still Real Madrid's biggest weapon. So Vinicius to score 181.
Would you sell Bellingham, Vinicius, or Mbappé?
What a question. Good question, by the way. A very good question. I think that I wouldn't sell Mbappé, but Florentino won't, because Florentino loves having stars. Vinicius has to renew his contract. Expires in 2027. That is a very hot potato. And Jude Bellingham, I think that he has been also a victim of not having good partnerships in midfield. So probably from all the players you mentioned, the one that I will get rid of quicker would be Bellingham, perhaps, because his level in the 23-24 season hasn't been replicated. But at the same time, there is a clear problem with Vinicius and Mbappé playing together, and no manager has solved it. They are both playing in the same position, we like it or not. Maybe Mbappé a bit more centrally, but it's the same position. So if they are not ready to work together, this is going to cost Real Madrid. It's going to be very difficult to Real Madrid to win trophies without these two players just working very hard. I will sit down with them and ask them, Are you ready to work for me, the next manager? Are you ready to work very hard? And depending on the attitude and the answer, I would make a decision.
Good point. They don't glue at the moment. Let's see next season. Well, this is it. 3 games to go in La Liga. So, guys, remember we have our tipster competitions going on. Feel free to participate. It's actually free. And you can win some money. We have the monthly one right now for May. And also you can check Rivals, where you can create your own tipster competition. Alvaro, as always, your safe bet?
Asian handicap -1 for Real Madrid, 132.
And let me know your ACCA.
Yeah, Asian handicap plus 0.75 for Mallorca, Asian handicap plus 0.25 for Girona, Asian handicap -1.5 for Real Madrid. Altogether 360.
Thank you, Alvaro. See you on Friday, actually. Bye-bye.
Take care, bye-bye.